Okay, it's the end of the session. Hello, Cece. Kisses, love. This is Cece, and this is Cece's roadmap to success. So basically, she's a puppy. We went over a lot of puppy stuff in this video, or in this session, so I'm going to kind of summarize some of them. Now, a couple housekeeping things. So remember, anything a dog is doing when you pet it is what you're specifically rewarding. So if you pet a fearful dog, you'll make it more fearful. A barky dog, more barky. Well, we haven't gotten to that point. That's what you do for the yelp, for the nips. A scared dog, more scared. An aggressive dog, more aggressive. It also works for positive things. So if she's nice and relaxed right now, I can pet her and say settle, and assign the command word that settle means to relax. You have to stay in my lap for this video, sweetheart. Okay, so if she is nervous or anxious about something, you want to let her freely move away from it if she wants to. But if you do want to console her, you can lay your hand on her. And they do associate touch like this with affection. But as soon as I start petting, I'm going to amplify it. So make sure you don't ever pet her when she's in an unbalanced state of mind. Like excited is probably one of the most common. But a lot of women will want to pet the dog and console it if it's fearful, but that backfires for dogs. Also, remember, good attention and bad attention, same thing. Many people train their dogs to misbehave because when they chew or jump up or nip or whatever it is, we correct them. They chew on the furniture, we stop that. But they come to us, we ignore that. They lay down on our feet, we ignore that. All these things that we like, we kind of ignore. So that's what we practice in our puppy class is something called celebrating. This is really a form of operant conditioning, but we call it celebrating or passive training, which is just simply waiting for the dog to organically offer you the behavior that you want and recognizing and rewarding that. This is the absolute easiest way to train any dog. So every time that Cece comes to you, you should pet her and say, come. And when you pet, we prefer to pet under the chin. If we pet a dog over the head, it creates a down nose orientation like there. If we pet her in the chin, we can get that nose up, and proud, confident dogs have their nose up. She's fighting me on it a little bit. I think she wants to get down. But get in the habit of petting her here, and then that nose goes up in the air. That's what we're looking for. So every time she comes to you, pet her and say, come. Every time she lays down, pet her and say, chill. Every time she sits, pet her, say, sit. If she licks you, say kisses. If she licks you right here, call it love. Whatever the words are that you want to use. But the more that you reward her for the things that you want, the more that she will do those particular behaviors. And since good attention and bad attention is the same thing, a lot of us train our dogs to jump up on us. We say, stop that, or chew our furniture, or all the rest of this stuff. So passive training is the easiest thing that you can do, and what we're doing is we're celebrating the thing that the dog does that we like. And so that's the watchword that I like to use, is celebrate. So if somebody comes in the room and sees that I'm pet and I'm standing there and Cece walked up to me and I missed it, they say celebrate, I turn and start petting her right away. Immediately. Remember, you have 3 seconds to correct or reward a dog for them to make the connection. Same thing with a puppy. So if somebody says paycheck, that means, or excuse me, celebrate, that means I missed an opportunity to pet her. I only have a second or 2 left. Somebody says celebrate, I turn and look at the dog, she's here, I pet her and say sit. Or if she's standing, I pet her and say come, because that's probably the action that she did. So the more that we pet for the things that we want, the more the dog will emulate and offer those behaviors. And also make sure you only say the command word once. So say sit, sit, sit. They'll think it's gibberish, right? Yes. So just say sit and say it in a normal tone of voice. They hear inflection. So you can say sit, but a lot of times we're not always going to say that. So now we're creating multiple command words. Also, if she's not listening to you, a high-pitched voice is a way to do it the second time. I would only say it once. So I'd say come. If she doesn't come to me, I'd say come. See how she lifted her head? So that high-pitched voice is going to be very attractive to her. Okay, so let's talk about some other stuff. We talked about shots. Remember, it takes a week after the last shot kicks in. Right now, you really need to socialize her. So I'd like to see you guys arranging to have at least one a week a puppy come by. Go to the pet store down the hill and tell them you have a puppy. Bring her in there, airwalk her. Let all the staffers there, they're going to love puppies. That's a great way to socialize. Now, everybody that meets her, you should have a treat pouch, pull out a treat, and the people, can I pet your puppy? Oh, sure. Would you like to give her a treat? Hey, Cece. And while she's chewing it, then we come down here and we pet her under her chin. After a while, she starts to associate the presence of new people means I'm about to get a treat. I like getting treats, therefore I like meeting new people. She should meet 100 people by the time she's 4 months old. She should meet at least 25, and that would be a bare minimum 25 puppies of a variety of shapes and sizes and energy levels by the time she's 4 months old as well. Now, when she's getting together with other puppies, it's okay for her to be a little bit nervous because she hasn't been around a lot of them, and I would expect that you're going to find that she is nervous. So we want to find puppies that have kind of a lower energy, And again, I would really recommend to try to join, go on Facebook, create a profile, lock it down so nobody can check out your personal profile. But then just search for groups, Palisades, puppies, Palisade dog lovers, or whatever it is. And, ask your kids to reach out to their friends, ask their friends to reach out to their friends. Post a cute picture. Well, I guess you're not on social media now, but if you have friends or relatives that are, send them a picture and just say, hey, we're trying to set these play dates. This is our cute puppy Cece, and have her a cute picture of her doing something. And hey, this is Cece. She lives in the Palisades. She's looking for a play date. She's a mini golden doodle. She's this age. We live in this part of town. You have to put your address, obviously. But the idea is you want to arrange to have her go to other people's houses and other people's puppy come to your house. Doing these in the backyard so we can still practice social distancing and keep it safe. Wear a mask if you have to get next to each other to separate the puppies. Now, during those play dates, what I like to do is let the visiting puppy go around and spend about 5 or 10 minutes sniffing around in the new environment without any puppies or any distractions. So they kind of build some confidence that way. And then after that, I bring the other puppy in, and I try to have the other puppy, I release them so they're really far apart. And then we kind of monitor them. Now, dogs don't like every dog that they meet, just like we don't like each person that we meet. And so it's okay if she doesn't like the other puppy. Sometimes the other puppy's energy might be too much for her, or the size, or the way that it plays. There are a lot of different contributing factors, and those are all appropriate, and that's okay. But it's important that we make sure that we let her know that we're going to put you in a safe environment. So if the other dog is too playful and she's kind of cowering, running away, stand and kind of block the other dog away. We don't necessarily interrupt, and we don't want to pick her up, because remember, picking up is a reward. And so what we want to do, and if we pet her when she's scared with that other dog, we're going to make her more scared. So instead, what we want to do is if the other dog's too boisterous, kind of use your arm and keep a little bit of a barricade. You can pick her up if you need to, but the idea is just try to sit down and be her comfort zone. And then we've had puppies that for weeks don't have anything to do with the other puppies in socialization time in our puppy class. Then in week 3 or week 4, they're running around and having a great time. So even if she's just around another puppy and she doesn't play with them, but nothing bad happens, that can be a positive association and lead to good positive stuff as well. Try to find, and the most important thing is finding a puppy that meets her energy. I'd like to find puppies that are about 2 months older or younger than her. But the energy is really in the play style is important. If the other puppy is trampling her, she's not going to like it, and she's going to kind of resent, and then it might influence her reaction to other puppies. So make sure it's a positive association. Make sure that, and for the kids, make sure that if she is in her dog play area, the long-term confinement area, or she's asleep somewhere, that we don't go wake her up. And so that would be use those Skittles that I talked to you about. And so the children, hello, sweetheart. The children can get a merit for maybe they pet her for sitting, or maybe three merits for taking her out and rewarding her for going potty, or maybe 10 merits for picking up some poop, or whatever it is. And if the kids, you went and woke her up, I have to take an M and away from that, or a Skittle, or whatever it is. And maybe there's certain things that are very egregious. So you go wake her up, you lose all of your Skittles for the day. Yes, I know, we're almost done, I promise. And so eventually we give the kids motivation to interact with the dog the way that we want, and now the dog is going to start behaving the way we want, because that's what gets the attention. So, all right, so that's petting with a purpose. Something else, or that's called passive training, which is operant conditioning. So celebrating the things the dog does that you want. If she does weird things, every time she comes to you, if she yodels, pet her and call it yodel or singing. Every time she stretches, pet her and say stretch if you want to. Come up with a word for her to eat. Every time she takes her first bite of food, you say pork chop or banana or whatever the food is that you want. And now banana becomes my command word that I get to go eat. I would feed the dog separately, and eventually when she's out of the long-term confinement area, I would feed Fig first. When Fig is eating, she's not allowed to be near. And then when Fig gets done eating, we dump any remaining food out of Fig's bowl, but importantly, we leave Fig's bowl on the ground. Then we invite her to come over and eat, and when she's eating, we don't let Fig within 7 feet of her. So that both dogs see that we're being protective of them when they're eating, and eating is the most important activity. So when they're eating, under no circumstances should any of the kids be coming over and playing with them. Now, there's an exercise that you could do where you might have the kids actually hand feeding her. So she's eating the kibble out of her hand, and the kid is petting at the same time. That's actually a good exercise to do to help the dog get used to being socialized and having the presence of the children around when she's eating. But if she's eating and the kid walks up and pets her, that would be inappropriate. So there's a different setup for that. For feeding, I would like you to get 5 or more treat dispensing toys. So one of them would be a snuffle mat. The Mega Paw treat ball would be another one. One of the ones I have is a 5-point star, and it's kind of flat, and you can rotate it, and underneath the star, there's a little pocket, and there's kibble in there. And so the dog has to work for its food. That boosts its self-esteem. It also takes, it helps it with some confidence building. It helps it also because if it's working for its food, it's energy draining and depleting. And if you're using a snuffle mat, it's got to use its nose to find them, which almost makes eating like a meal, or like some exercise, like a walk. Now, I would recommend you feed her 5 times a day until she's close to a year old, and she needs to be on puppy food. So again, I used a Kana or a Signature with a Z, puppy food. And once she gets, past puppy food, then you can look at it. I would switch my dog over. I feed a Kana adult brand. And what I do is I pick a brand and I change a different flavor for each bag. Now, right now, when you're getting these new bags of food, I would get a small bag so that if she turns out she doesn't like it, you don't have to a whole bag that you got to throw away. We don't want to force her to eat something that she doesn't like. But just like us, dogs have different tastes. And I'd also get that fermented goat milk from, I think Answers is, the company that Green Scout recommended. And give her 1 ounce of that and a little ramekin. Make sure you do it early in the day, not late in the day. And that'll help with her organ development and bone density and a lot of other things. I know this is hard, but you're going to be okay. All right, and let me see. And so I would feed her out of 2 or 3 of those treat dispensing toys for each meal. So maybe a little bit out of the Omega Paw treat ball, a little bit out of Snuffle Mat, a little bit out of a puzzle game. And so now she has to earn her food, and that's just a nice boost of self-esteem and confidence. And it's a nice way to sneak in a little exercise. All right, so let me see, what else did we talk about? Yelping. So there's 3 things to do if she yelps. The first thing, and this is not from her, first thing you want to do is when she touches you with her teeth, even if it's accidental, is you're going to yelp. And you're not going to like this yelp. So I'm going to kind of shield you a little bit. Woo! That's how you want to do it. So a very high pitch and a yelp. Now, that's the first time, anytime your teeth touch your skin, you would yelp like this and you retract and you stop playing with her. So that becomes a consequence. So when I touch the humans with my teeth, the play stops. I know you want to get down, but this is almost done, I promise. And you see her a little twitchy and jumpy, that's an illustration of cortisol in her blood. So make sure that you let her move away from things that she doesn't want to. Try not to force her. Yes, I am forcing you a little bit, but I don't know where the other people are, and I don't want to let you down because they're not here to supervise you. So you're going to have to deal with it right now. Now, if she's wiggling, or don't ever let a puppy go when she's wiggling, because that'll teach them to protest and fight you. Instead, if she's wiggling, wait for her to stop wiggling, then put her down. And make sure that when kids are carrying her, sometimes kids carry dogs in really weird positions. So what I like to do, if you look, I've got, a lot of times I'll go in between their back legs, and this hand is now on her chest, and I usually keep my thumb around here so I can have their hand hanging down. So now I have, her whole body feels my arm underneath. She feels a lot more secure. A lot of kids are holding them in a weird, precarious position, and that makes them less likely to want to be held. So make sure that the kids are holding kind of in this position. They don't have to be in between the legs. They can kind of be around, and so she can almost sit on in your elbow area. And you see she's snuggling really well. The settle exercise. When she is in this sort of relaxed state of mind, we'd like you to pet her from her collar to the base of her tail along her spine in a slow stroke like that. And then come up with a word, call it settle, zen, not chill, because that's your lay down condition. But come up with a command word. So you don't do it when she's excited. You only do it when she's calm for about 2 months. Then later on when she's excited, you can say chill. Well, not chill, or settle is the word I use. And she knows, oh, settle means relax. Doesn't mean she's going to do it, but at least she'll understand what it is that you want from her. Okay. We came up with a list of the command words. What I would do is, again, try to use funny command words. So we came up with a list of the actions, I should say. So potty, and they wrote down equal business. Sit equals sit, yeah. Lay down equals chill. So what I like you to do is come up with a list of all the commands. Drop it, leave it, come, and then decide as a family what the words are that you're going to use. And that way everybody in the family uses the same word. A lot of us, we speak to dogs as if they speak English. Come here, come here, over here girl. Now that's like a whole bunch of different ways to say the same thing. We say between 2,000 and 11,000 words a day as humans. That's a lot of words for them to parse through. It's much easier if we always say the same word. So I usually use the watchword of vocabulary for that. So somebody comes in and I say, come here, and her word is come. Somebody says vocabulary to me, I say, thank you, come. So that way we're just using the one word. Also try to avoid saying good dog. Good dog isn't bad, but it doesn't help the dog learn. If you say the command word, that when they're in the action of doing it, that can help them learn tremendously faster. So every time she comes to you, pet her and say come. Every time she sits, pet her and say sit, and so on. Now once the dog knows it, I would say sit, to tell the dog what to do. If it sits, then I reach under and pet her and say the word sit a second time to tell her why I'm paying her. I consider petting or giving a treat as paying her. Now, if all things are equal, try to pet her under her chin, like I mentioned earlier. Try to avoid petting her on top of the house, but you can scratch her butt or anywhere else you want. Now, so the settle exercise 1 is when she's relaxed or petting along her spine and slow strokes, we're going to say settle, or whatever the word is you want to use. The other exercise is you're going to kind of flip her up, and you want to kind of have her so that her spine is along your legs, and her shoulder is here in your, kind of your shoulder area is just above your crotch region. And then some dogs do better if you kind of put your hand underneath their paws like this. And you want her to learn to settle in this position as well. But again, this is something good to do when she's nice and calm. If she's full of beans, don't force either one of these things. She won't want to do it. And when she's in this one, we want to kind of also simulate what we're going to do in terms of what a vet's going to do. Let's look at your teeth. Let's look in your ears. Let's hold up this digit and look at the nail. Let's hold up the next digit. Now, I use a Dremel for my dogs. You want to make sure you're trimming these nails once a week or having somebody else do it. The pink part of the nail will start getting longer, and you can't cut into that without it being very painful for the dog. So I wouldn't recommend that. So if you do it once a week, especially when they're really young, you'll keep them nice and short. Once they get really long, it's hard to retract them. Now, one of the things I do for that is, and I'm going to go through the whole exercise if you want to do it here. So if I want to get her used to it, I have high-value training treats. So what I do is I give her, as I hold up her digit, and then I give her the treat. Then I hold up the next digit, and then I give her the treat. So now holding my digit means I'm about to get a treat. Now I'm not trimming at this point. All I want her to do is just get used to it. So you do that for all individual digits, for all 8 paws, and you can use her kibble for this. You can use dogs' kibble for a lot of things. And don't be afraid to give treats. Treats are a wonderful thing, and they're helpful. But you do that, and now it's like, oh yeah, it's time for me to get a mani, a petty. So then the next thing I might do is I might hold it up, and if I'm going to trim it, make sure you don't go past the translucent or the white part. And she has translucent nails, so you're just going to get that not in the pink part and leave a little bit of gap between the pink and the white, and trim it off, and then give her a piece of kibble or a high-value training treat. And so now trim, boom. Now I like using a Dremel because you can actually put a rounded corner on it so you don't get the right angle, and when they accidentally scrape at you, they don't leave a scratch mark. Let me see. So this settle exercise, I'd like you to do these things when she's nice and relaxed, you're just watching TV as a family or whatever it is, so you put in context what it is that you like her doing. All right, for getting back to the biting and nipping, she shouldn't be able to touch anybody with their teeth. So if she's just mouthing your hand but she's not touching, don't let her do that because that's practicing something you don't want. So as soon as she touches you with her teeth, you want to yelp like I did earlier. And if that doesn't work, the second thing I do is I usually have a nylabone, kind of a bone-shaped nylabone in my back pocket. I pull it out. Now, if I just give it to her, she won't want it. So I kind of tap her here, tap her here, tap her here, kind of tease around with it, and then she's kind of lunging for it. And then when she grabs it, I kind of let her play tug-of-war a little bit and let her pull it away. Then it becomes a trophy, and she goes over and chews on it. You redirected her. The last thing that I do, or not the last thing, but if neither one of those things works, or if those things cause her to get more aggressive about biting and nipping, probably means she's overly tired and needs a nap. So at that point, I would walk into the long-term confinement area, especially if she's biting your legs. And then when she's in there, just go ahead and turn around and walk out and close the door. Now, baby carrots are really important. I like getting dogs to like carrots because they can be beneficial for teething especially, but also if they're chewing things. If they're licking some furniture, that means licking is it's a precursor to chewing. I'm licking it to soften it up, then I'm going to chew it. So if you see her chewing on a furniture piece over there, go to your fridge, grab 3 or 4 baby carrots, come over here so she's facing this way. I knock on the floor with my hand. When she turns to look at me, I drop them for last like 4 inches. Dogs' eyes are very attracted to movement. They're always going to capture and be drawn to it movement. So as soon as she looks, I drop them here. Now she's going to get up from over here, walk over here, and then sit down and chew on the carrots. Now, if she won't eat the baby carrots, you can get like the slices of the regular carrot, or you might just take a potato peeler and get some and put that a little bit in her food. Get her used to it. Once she gets into eating carrots, like I mentioned earlier, ward off a type of cancer. But also when she starts teething, you can grab those chips, the slices of carrots, or the baby ones, put them in the freezer. And when she's licking it, I would go to the freezer, grab them out of the freezer, rinse the hard frost out of them, and then wrap on the floor. She turns and drops it. Now remember, when you're going to move or run away from her or do anything, make sure she's looking at you. So like for potty training, we're going to talk about it. Well, let me just finish up the chewing and nipping. Setting up those play dates with other puppies is huge, because when she chews on other puppies or nips them, they're going to yelp like I demonstrated earlier, and she's going to learn that that's not desired for other people. And it's really important for them to learn bite inhibition. That's probably the most important lesson for any dog to learn. And so make sure that anytime she touches you or any kid's teeth, or teeth touch you, you're yelping, and then the play stops. Another good exercise for this is to play tug of war, a little rope toy, and as soon as she touches you with your teeth, you yelp and drop it. So touching the humans with my teeth represents the end of the play. Well, I like the play to continue, so I'll stop touching them with my teeth. Let me see, what else? Okay, so for potty training. You're going to get a video for this for the puppy class videos that we're sending you, but basically the 3 times puppies are most likely to go is right after waking up, right after 5 minutes after eating, and 15 minutes after heavy play. So if she starts zooming around with the other dog or with the kids, look at your watch and set a timer for maybe 10, 12 minutes. And I also take the dog out once an hour, every hour. Having it in the right place at the right time makes potty training easier. And you might want to count, like we talked about, if she's peeing. So if she pees 3 seconds, you know, you're like, oh, but I know you got at least 6 seconds of pee in you. So we stay outside until she does the rest of it. Now, when I'm potty training, what I do is I take them outside, and they have up to 5 minutes to potty. And when they're doing this, there's no kids on the trampoline, there's nobody out here, there's nobody eating, there's no excitement, because they get distracted. If they don't go within 5 minutes, they're too distracted. All right, I'll get you up. And as a result of that, so I give them, I take them back inside, and I would carry them like this. And again, have your hand underneath, and carry her around until she gets fidgety or whimpers. Then take her back outside, give her another 5 minutes to go. If she doesn't go, bring her back inside and carry her again. So the idea is you're not, once you've done your business, that's when then you get freedom and you can do a couple different things. So a lot of us take our puppy inside as soon as it potties, and that can tend to be looked at as a punishment. So what we want to do is when she potties, maybe that'd be a good time to run around the yard with her a little bit, because remember that moving around will help get her the stuff that she has inside going closer towards the exit. And so if you run around a little bit, if she still has a little bit of pee, that run might actually, she might stop and pee again. So what we want to do is take her outside. She has, like those 3 times, take her, she has up to 5 minutes, and then we bring her inside and carry her until she wiggles or whimpers like this, and we take her back outside. As soon as she starts to pee or poop, you say business or whatever the word is that you want to use 1 time in a normal tone of voice. A lot of people say it very excited, and the dog will stop peeing and then go inside and have an accident. So you say business, a normal tone of voice. I would follow her around to be within 10 feet of her the whole time. And just be very nonchalant, don't really call her, and don't tell her to potty till she knows the command. And knowing the command means you can, if she's here, and she's looking at my face, they can read lips. So I turn my head to the side and say sit, and then if I look and she sat, then I know she has the auditory or the verbal command. If she doesn't, a lot of dogs learn actually through a gesture first. So basically, for potty training, as soon as she starts to pee or poop, you say the word business or whatever the word is 1 time. When she gets done, as soon as she looks at you, crouch down like a softball catcher. That crouching movement will attract her, but make sure she's looking at you before you crouch down. When she crouch down, then hold a treat out for her. She'll run over to you, pop the treat in her mouth, and say the word business a 2nd time. If you want to teach her how to ring a bell to go outside to potty, let me know. Just don't ever hang it from the door knob or the door itself, because that represents the door opening. You want to hang it next to the door or in the long-term confinement area so she can tell you. And let me know, because I have a video I can share with you. I don't know if you're going to get it emailed to you automatically, but I can share it with you on how to teach her how to ring a bell to go potty. I would also make her sit before you let her out of the door to her long-term confinement area or the door to the backyard. I wouldn't do this during potty training, but once her potty training is complete, remember she can't be fully potty trained until she's 5 months. Once her potty training is complete, then go to the door, say sit 1 time. This is known as a premac. There's a guy named David Premack that studied chimps, and premac means that a less desirable behavior leads to a more desirable behavior. Kids, you do your homework and you play on the trampoline, that sort of thing. So for the door, I go to the door and I tell the dog to sit 1 time. If it doesn't sit within 3 seconds, I walk away and I sit down. It's important to sit down somewhere nearby, wait 1 minute, then go back to the door and command the dog again to sit. Again, not for her for potty training, once she's potty trained. And if she doesn't sit this time, I walk away and sit down for 2 minutes. Next time I sit down for 4 minutes, and for 8 minutes. I keep double length of time. And as soon as she sits down, that door flies open. So most people train their dog to jump at the door, because when they jump at the door, we go and open the door. So jumping the door causes the human to let me out. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to teach her to go sit at the door instead of saying, I'd like to go outside, please. When she does, open that door. Do it for the door to the long-term confinement area, the playroom or the door to the playroom, and any other doors that you get in, that she goes through. Also, don't feed her people food. If you do feed her people food, make sure it's definitely not off the plate. One of the things dogs know is they shouldn't be within 7 feet of anybody that has a high value item, which is why if Fig has a bully stick or something and she walks over there, now we can let Fig correct some of it, but sometimes we should intercede as well. So the way I would do that is if she's here and I'm Fig, I as a human, I would walk in between her and Fig and I would face her and walk towards her to take the space and cause her to move further away. The more the Fig sees you're doing that, the more the Fig says, oh, okay, they're looking out for me. Now, I would like them to spend time together because I think that they're going to become really good buddies. Puppies are kind of annoying at first, but as the puppy is corrected by Fig and learns, then the puppy's not going to do less and less of the things that are inappropriate. But that's also why it's so important when you have those play dates. And remember, for the play dates, no sharing water, no sharing food or toys. And be careful about treats. Sometimes if you have a treat between two puppies, they'll fight each other over it. We don't want to do that either. So no bully sticks or anything like that. If they get too excited, remember dogs have 10 levels of energy the way I look at it. 0 is asleep, 10 is as crazy as you've seen her. So when she gets past level 5 energy, you're going to give her a timeout. I'm going to demonstrate here. So you're going to put her back paw, she's black so it's hard to see, but I'm going to grab her by her paws, by her thighs, and I'm going to back her away from the other dog, and the other person would also give the other dog a timeout. So when one dog's getting a timeout, the other dog's not allowed to come and interact. Helping them practice calming themselves down is really important. Don't let them get to level 7 or 8 energy. It's a long time to get back to level 1. So instead, we want to we give them an interruption at 4.9 or less, or at level 5. We right away give them a timeout. We pull them apart. We wait for them to settle themselves down. We're not telling them to settle. We're just waiting. And when their energy gets down to like a level 1, 2, or 3, then we let them go back to play. At first, you'll have to do a lot of interruptions, but after a while, you get the dogs will start interrupting themselves, and that's what we're looking for. A lot of us micromanage our dogs, but it's like raising kids. You can do every decision for them, but you really would rather put them in a situation where they can figure it out on their own, so you teach them how to deal with it for life. Let me see, what else? I didn't really go through a lot of lessons with you guys because you're going to get all these emails, the lessons, but message me if you have any questions on any of these things. And for play dates, if the dogs don't get along, I wouldn't recommend walking her too much, but sometimes having a positive experience with each other can help. So if you can put her on a leash, and maybe just walk her half a house, and don't let them interact with each other on a walk. So to have human, dog on the outside. So that way the dogs are separate, but they can hear each other, they can smell each other, they can see each other, but they don't have the pressure of playing together. Sometimes walking them short walk before play dates can really help set them up for success. Now, she's probably not going to like having the collar on. Put the collar on. Wait for a minute or two after she stops scratching before you take it off, and try to elongate that. I wouldn't have a collar in, which she's in a long-term confinement, so it doesn't get caught anything. The hiccups, excuse me. But we want to get her used to doing it in shorter amounts, and she's going to scratch a little bit when she does. Just let her scratch a little bit. It's a little irritating. Make sure you can always get at least one finger in between the collar. Usually 2 is what we're looking for. It's too loose, she can pop it out, but you're really not going to be using it for anything other than getting her used to it at this point. Now, there's some creative forms of exercise that you can do. The laser, one of the things the kids talked about, you have to be careful. If she gets whiny and whimpering, then she's practicing anxiety, which we really don't like to see dogs do. And so some dogs can chase it and they're fine. Other dogs can't. They chase the laser and they get anxious. Then you might discontinue. I'm trying to think. If there's anything else, make sure you let me know. That you're going to get a ton of emails. They're going to cover a lot of this stuff. But setting up those play dates and keep on that critical socialization checklist until she's 14 weeks. That's what you should be spending all your time. It's much more important than training. You have a lifetime to train her. You only have until she's 14 weeks to take care of that critical socialization period. Now, last thing, puppies start developing their true personality starts solidifying around 9 months. For small breeds like her, it's going to maximize at 2 years. So from now until 2 years, you can kind of ebb and flow and decide what kind of a behavior what kind of personality she's going to develop. So a lot of people stop socializing too soon, and that can also often cause a lot of problems. So she should be socialized around, try to get her around at least puppies within about 1 or 2 months of her age until she's at least 9 months or so. Now, she's whimpering, so she probably needs to go potty, and the kids are out, so I'm going to go ahead and let her down. But we're going to wrap this up, I guess. So this little cutie is Cece, and this is Cece's roadmap to success. She's awfully cute, and she's wiggling because she wants to get out of here. We're going to put you down right now. Remember, everything you do trains your dog or puppy, only sometimes you mean it.